So to the surprise of absolutely no one, Michael Jung set a world record at Kentucky Horse Park during the 5-star this last weekend. Now, what I will say is it's not even the world record number one. It's the third. Well, it's like golf, so the lowest score, but the third lowest score in history in a 5-star. Now, there are two scores, one owned by him and one owned by Laura Calais from Great Britain, where at Paris, they actually set the world record. But the Olympics is not a 5-star. It's actually a 4-star. So I am kind of curious how that all works out. They were saying it was the third lowest score. Technically, like I said, the Olympics is not a 5-star, it's a 4-star, because the problem is there would be countries that they literally wouldn't be able to qualify. So they have to make the Olympics a level that everybody can ride. So I would be curious if it is the lowest score, in fact, at a 5-star, a true, authentic 5-star. So anyway, today we're going to watch Michael Jung's test and react to it, have some comments about it. And I do want to say, shout out to the channel that did record his test. I will also make a side note, dear FEI, if you want your sport to grow, then you have to make it available to everybody. Now, that doesn't mean that while it's live, you can't, charge people to watch it. However, after it's done, if you don't make the sport readily available for people to watch and fall in love with, then nobody even knows it exists. Like when it comes to basketball, you know why people are so tuned in to basketball, football? Because there are a bunch of channels on YouTube and other media platforms that make additional content about the sport itself. And so it stays in everybody's conscious. However, with horses, they put things behind a giant paywall and wonder why nobody shows up to just give them money. Sorry, rant over. Okay, let's watch Michael Jung's test, and thank you to Happy Pups World for posting this video, and I am going to link the full video down below if you want to watch it without my commentary. Fair enough. All right, let's dive in. I was actually reading an article, and it said that one of the judges gave him a 10 for his entry and halt, so it was clearly very square. Some shoulder in action. Everything about this horse is just so elegant. And side note, I actually have a horse that's really closely related to this horse, but I can only hope that she does a fraction of what this horse has done. As always, a lovely, lovely medium trot. That was kind of abrupt. Okay. If I'm gonna have to be picky, right? Because since this is an amazing test, shoulder in, but since this is an amazing test, the only things that are obvious need to be scrutinized. Half pass. Do you know what it is? It's the transition between the movements that are so seamless. And from having ridden the high-level tests myself, he didn't really stop. He did not count to 3. But the point being that having ridden these high-level tests myself, the nice part is the things are stacked. For horses like mine that have a short attention span, it's nice because when he says what's next, there's actually something to do. When he was in the lower levels, we would do a 20-meter circle, and then he's like, what's next? And I'm like, well, we got to wait to get all the way over there to do something else. So when it comes to these high-level tests, it's actually quite nice because they are very boom, 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 boom for these high, it's a short attention span horse. But with him, what makes his test stand out from the rest is when he's going between these movements. Walk pirouettes. There was a tiny little bit of hesitation. You really want to be able to keep the movement. But the point is that, that one was better. Nah. That was a nice, but to the point, that was a nice transition up. There's no, there's nothing where the horse goes oh, there's no surprise whatsoever. Like, oh, happy to do that. Oh, yeah, we're going to do this now. Oh, we're going to turn the other way. Like, it's just seamless. And that, of course, was a half pass into a canter transition, which actually sets you up nicely because when you shift the ribs over like that, ooh, that's a nice lengthened canter. But when you shift the ribs over like that, so you're doing your half pass and your ribs are bent to the right, and then you shift when you get back to the line, when you're shifting the ribs over to the left, that's actually a really nice way to ask for those canter transitions, because the horse can't get stiff because it's technically doing a movement before the transition. He has really, okay, so his flying lead changes are like, I wish that he would teach just a seminar on flying lead changes, because I did a video. Oh, this is a fun test. I want to learn this test. But I did a video specifically from Paris about the like the best and worst flying lead changes. He, of course, ended up on the best list, but the worst list was actually quite funny. The other thing about it is when the horse moves, he's covering ground without looking like this guy's if you want to check out 10 anti-inflammatory foods you should be eating, I think that as long as your information's correct, that's some pretty good stuff. Woo, we're going for a ride. Anyway, as you can see, obviously he is the poster child for what dressage is supposed to look like. And I love watching Michael Jung do dressage because he is the epitome of what dressage is supposed to be, which is a seamless effort between horse and rider, performing what is really hard movements. Because if you've ever done a half pass, you know that it's really hard to get them to bend their ribs to the inside while continuously moving. Especially, okay, there's always a direction that horses have an easier way doing their half pass than the other direction. So I'll say especially when you're going their hard direction, which would be like me asking you to write an essay with, say you're right-handed, me asking you to write an essay with your left hand. I mean, the reality is that when you're asking the horse to step into a direction or a bend or a flexion that is not their good side or their easy way, then it becomes really hard. But one of the things about Fisher Chipmunk is the horse moves so seamlessly, and it seems like the rest of us, when we're like going down the center line and we have to make it over to the side, we're like, oh my God, we only have so many steps. And so this horse covers the ground so easily that when they're working through their test, you can just tell that he kind of has this vibe of, well, I'm just moving over there. We'll get there when we get there. Like, very casual about how he needs to cover the ground to get to the next point, right? Obviously, Michael Jung and Fisher Chipmunk have been competing together for a very long time. Back, I remember back before 2020. So they've been together for quite a long time. And they had their unfortunate result at 2021 Tokyo, but of course won in Paris in 2024. So they have a huge historic record to their name. So when we're watching their test, it should look like this, right? But since you and I are not Michael Jung, we have to do this a different way. And if you are interested in 10 tests that you can actually do at home by yourself and without your trainer, it's just 10 tests that are going to tell you if you have good balance, if you have good flexibility, how your seat and leg connection is with your horse, 10 other things. But point is, if you want to do 10 tests just to see where you stack up on all of these things that us as horses, as riders have to be able to do when we're riding, then check out this playlist right here. And I hope you enjoyed watching Michael Jung. He's obviously one of my favorites to watch. But if you want to ride more like Michael, then check out these 10 tests. I'll see you there.